Press conference by Foreign Minister IWAYA will now start. Over to you, Minister. Thank you for your attendance. I have 3 announcements at the outset of this press conference. First of all, about the regulations of the import of the Japanese seafood product in China. With regard to import restrictions of the Japanese seafood by China, there was the announcement about the shared recognitions between Japan and China in September of last year. And we've been repeatedly conducting the additional monitoring under the framework of IWAYA, and the government has been united to remove these restrictions early. At the time of my visit to China last year, as well as the applications of former Minister Wang Yi's visit to Japan in March, I've been directly requesting for the early resumptions of the Japanese marine products import to China. Under such circumstances, Japan and China has come to an agreement on the technical requirement which is needed to resume the import moving forward as soon as the completions of the re-registrations procedure for the export facilities. There will be the resumptions of the export of the Japanese marine product. This agreement is to start executing what was announced in September of last year. We believe that this is one of the major milestones. As for Japan, we will continue to ask for the resumptions of Japanese beef to China, as well as to remove the import restriction and of the agricultural produce from 10 of Japanese prefectures to the Chinese side. We will also request for the removal of the import restrictions from the neighboring regions, such as from Hong Kong and ROK.
This week, in order to attend the Nikkei Forum, Asia's Future, many VIP have visited Japan from many Asian countries. And during this time, I had a foreign ministerial meeting with the Philippines and Cambodia. And later, I am going to talk with the advisor and aide in charge of foreign affairs of Bangladesh and the foreign minister of Thailand. To realize the free and open Indo-Pacific, East Asian region is the key region. The strengthening of relationship with countries in this region is one of the topest priority in terms of the diplomatic agenda in Ishiba administration. Continually, we will listen to the voices of Asia, and we will take action jointly to resolve various challenges.
Thirdly, is about lifting of the sanctions against Syria. Japan evaluates highly of the Syrian caretaker government has been taking comprehensive political resolutions as well as working on the dialogue toward the national reconciliation. And also, the government is showing the stance that they will continue for the peaceful and stable transition. Based on such circumstances, it is desirable in creating the favorable state for the Syrian national. From that perspective, of the sanctions that Japan is imposing on Syria, government have decided to lift the measures against 4 groups, including of the asset freeze. Japanese government will continue to place close eye on the development of the international society and will act appropriately. This concludes my opening remarks.
So if you have any questions, please raise your hand. Once you are acknowledged, please proceed to the microphone and please identify yourself with affiliation and name before asking question. Kyodo Tsuchin Sakaguchi-san, please. I am Sakaguchi from Kyodo News. As you mentioned at the beginning, I have a question about the resumption of the import of Japanese fishery by China to be now you reach an agreement on policy to start the specific procedure. However, including the removal of buoy, the various major challenges with China have been resolved, and there has been an advancement. What is your take on this? And in Fukushima, and on the other hand, the 10 prefectures fisheries import by China is outside the scope. And what kind of measures are you going to take on this matter? Well, the basic policy toward China, as I have been mentioned, is to promote the strategic reciprocal relationship in a comprehensive manner and to build a constructive and stable relationship. Under this initiative, we have to reduce the challenges and the concerns and to increase the collaboration and cooperation. I think that is very critical. From this perspective, as I mentioned at the beginning, and at this time, to realize the early removal of import restrictions of Japanese fisheries by China, and this kind of a procedure will kick off officially, and this is something we welcome. So, taking this opportunity, the entire government will be united together to address this matter, including the opposition party and the ruling party. At the political level, we have taken various measures. Well, we believe that this agreement is a big milestone in a series of processes we have followed. And 10 prefectures, agriculture and fishery products. Since the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power accidents, and the Japanese food import regulation is continued by China, and we have requested China to take a calm response based on scientific grounds and to immediately remove the regulatory measures. Those stance has remained unchanged. Continuously, we will call on China to lift the restrictions.
Hong Kong Phoenix, Lee-san. Lee from Phoenix TV. With regard to the resumptions of the Japanese seafood product to China, you mentioned that this is one of the major milestones. This issue is impacting the relationship between Japan and China. At least that is the perceptions in Japan. Now, this resumption, how significant is this in the relationship between Japan and China, and what do you specifically mean that this is an important milestone? Between Japan and China, we are faced with a lot of issues and challenges. This agricultural produce import restrictions is one of such issue. But against this issue, we now have a clue of resolving this issue. This means that we will continue to work on the remainder of the issues, and this can be a good trigger to work on the remainder of the issues. In order to materialize such an improvement, we will continue with our effort in the diplomatic front. In that sense, I mentioned that this is one of the major milestones.
Nikkei newspaper, Baba-san, please. I am Baba from Nikkei newspaper. I have a question about the lifting of sanctions on Syria, as I mentioned at the beginning. So you will be lifting sanctions on full organization. So this is the measures in line with the United States and the EU. So going forward, you are to resume the support through international organization. What is the Japanese government policy? Well, since December last year, the situation has been developing in Syria, and we pay attention to the situation with a high interest as Japanese government. While being engaged with provisional government, we have encouraged them to proceed with the comprehensive political resolution and the national resolution. And looking at and observing the provisional government of Syria, a comprehensive political resolution and the dialogue toward a national resolution that has been addressed. And also, they showed a stand to work on the stable transition and the peaceful transition. We highly appreciate at this point, and therefore keeping pace with the international community, we decided to lift the sanctions. So going forward, in collaboration with the international community, we hope that the Syrian provisional government will realize the peaceful and stable transition toward the realization of peace and stability of Syria. What is effective from that perspective? Continuingly, we will collaborate with the international community, including G7. That is how we proceed. And in March this year, through UNICEF, we have carried out $5 million support for repairing of medical facilities. Consistently, we have supported Syrian people. Continuingly, we will continue the support that is supporting the Syrian people.
Japan has repeatedly stated and confirmed its opposition to countries attempting to change the status quo by force. This is why Japan applied sanctions against Russia. But Japan seems to be selective about this principle. With Russia, you applied sanctions. On the other hand, Japan is improving its relations with Israel, including buying weapons or plans to buy weapons. Israel is occupying Gaza and parts of the West Bank and already annexed the Golan Heights. And we would like to know, is this sanctions and change of status by force, opposition by Japan is selective, and why is selective? And do you think this will be helpful for achieving peace in the world? Thank you.
First of all, the Russian aggressions against Ukraine, as well as the situations of Gaza, is different in process as well as the historical background. And also, the act of terror by Hamas was the direct trigger for the actions taken by Israel. On one hand, Russia unilaterally made an aggressions against Ukraine, and we should not treat them equally. Now, reoccupation of Israel in Gaza, as well as through the expansions of the military operations, is further worsening the already serious humanitarian state in Gaza. And such action round counter to realizations of the two-state solution. Thereby, we are opposing such a move. We've been strongly demanding that Israel will take the necessary action to address such issue. As for the government of Japan is concerned, we believe that Israel's settlement activities in West Bank is violations of international law, which compromises on the realizations of the two-state solutions, and that is the positions of the ICJ as well. We request the complete freeze of resettlement and activities, as well as to refrain from the unilaterally changing the status quo. And also in the Japan-Israel Foreign Ministers meeting on the 13th of May, I made a strong request to the Foreign Minister Sahar. Japan's stance of maintaining the rule of law is unshakable against the Israeli government. In line with the international law, we will continue to strongly demand that they will abide by the law.
Nezu-san from NHK, please. I am Nezu from NHK. So I have a question about the Chinese regulation on the Japanese fishery. As an overall background, you mentioned that you will resolve the challenges. But what is the aim of China to reach an agreement? So China is positive toward resolving this issue. Is that the reason for reaching an agreement this time? And you said that you will initiate procedures. But what is your outlook on the actual resumption of the import of Japanese fisheries? We would like to refrain from making decisive positions on Chinese intent. However, Prime Minister Ishiba and Mr. Xi Jinping, in the leaders' meeting between them, going back to the strategic reciprocity, the constructive and stable relationship needs to be built based on the leaders' agreement. We have held various meetings, and one of the many challenges we are faced with is the removal of the import restriction of Japanese fisheries, and this issue was taken up. And we would like to promote the strategic reciprocal relationship. That is the stance. We have worked on this. And I believe on the Chinese side, they have addressed this matter with the same feeling. When it comes to the specific procedures, on the Chinese side, a re-registration of export-related facility will be necessary. Application for the re-registration of export-related facility will be initiated with a facility that had been already registered with Chinese side before the discharges of Alps treated water. So at the time of before discharging into water, discharges into the sea, the registration of 10 pre-registration facilities in 10 prefectures had not been approved, and that is why 10 prefectures has been removed. Therefore, we would like to request lifting of import ban of these 10 prefectures and others. So just like before the discharges into water of Alps treated water, radioactive cesium and iodine inspection certification, as well as a certification for origin and hygiene certification attachment will be necessary. For further details, please check with the other ministry and agency in charge.
Kyodo Sakaguchi-san. Sakaguchi, Kyodo, changing the topic. U.S. Trump administration's the interview to obtain the student visa, and there is the suspensions of conducting the interview. Well, from MOFA, I'm sure that some officials have a plan of studying at the U.S. university. What is the actions at the moment? And also, there are many Japanese people planning to study in the United States, and how the Japanese government is going to address this issue. Now, regarding this issue that you have mentioned, we are hearing the voice of concerns of those planning to visit the United States. Japanese government have a keen interest in watching the further development. What we requested to the Japanese U.S. side is to provide us with the information. We will continue to have a close relationship and close communications with the U.S. side. At the moment, the U.S. Embassy in Japan told us that until the new measure is shown by the U.S. government as a temporary measures, they will temporarily suspend the new booking for the interview for them to obtain the student visa. However, they still accept the applications for the student visa, and also they will conduct the interview where the booking has already been made. That is the explanation that we have received from the embassy. Moving forward, and through the close communications with the U.S. side, we will continue to obtain information so that we can take the appropriate action. Regarding MOFA, at U.S. universities, more than 20 of our officials are studying or under training, and there are some other officials who plan to go to the United States. And we are closely monitoring the impact of the applications process and who have a plan to travel, not just to obtain the language skill as well as the other necessary basic knowledge, wisdom can be enhanced through the studying at the U.S. universities. These are the talent who will be undertaking the diplomatic activities in the future. I hope that there will be the smooth training to continue in the United States, and we will continue to take the appropriate action.
With this, we would like to conclude the press conference. Thank you.